Welcome to Unselfishly Me, a podcast all about self-love, self-care, and everything in between. I'm Jane, a personal trainer with a focus on self-love. Each week, we'll be chatting to someone about their self-love journey, how long it took, and what it took to get there. You know, we're talking about achievement, we're talking about being able to look at what we have done and created, or what we have got through, or what we are creating, and how we have got to where we are. And the people, you can't talk to an expert about that. Like, we have to zoom out of our lives and actually look and see what we have achieved. So it's all about what we have achieved. And, you know, the work that we do, we don't always look at it and think that we've done well in something or we've accomplished something. Whereas this whole year or 2 years, we've all accomplished so much just by being here. So I think that this is more about ourselves than it is about getting some random person to come in and tell us how we can look at achievement, or, you know, how to set goals, or any of these things, which we already know. And it ties in well with the content of being able to actually look at how far we have come. So that's why I chatted to Bev about it. And when she started talking, I'm like, okay, but you're going to talk too, okay? You're going to talk about your stuff. So I think that the main thing that I want you guys to get out of this month is that there's actually a video, I'll try and see if I can play it. I watched Nicole Graham's stories this morning, and it was a TikTok video of a guy doing his, like, you know, when they're graduating and he's like top of the class and they do their speech. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it, but I'll try and play it over here. But it was just so apt for thinking about this, because we all think that we haven't achieved anything. We all think, oh, Mel, did you watch it? We all think that we haven't achieved anything. We all think that we are not as good as a person next to us. We think that we aren't as accomplished. We think like all of these things. And I think that it's important to zoom out and see, just like when we were zooming out for the month, I can't remember the topic right now, but when we're talking about how we own our own time, whichever month that was, 2 months ago, I think, maybe, and we all think we haven't done anything in 24 hours because we're just looking at 24 hours. But when you zoom out and look at 7 days, you see how much you've actually accomplished in 7 days. And who cares if on a Monday you start slow? Like me, I work a lot of weekends with events and stuff. So Monday I tend to try and take slow because I tend to work on a Sunday. And to be honest, woo-woo-wise, I'm a Leo, like I'm activated by the sun. So Sunday for me to work is actually really good for me to work. I'm activated by the sun. I feel really good about working on a Sunday. Monday, moon day, for me is not great. But if you are a Cancer or whatever you are, water sign, etc., a Monday for you will feel good. So I haven't ever talked about this, I don't think, but you can actually like set up, Lauren and I spoke about it on a coaching call. It's like you can actually set up your work week according to the planet. So each day is something different. Wednesday, I think Bev and I chose because it was Mercury. So it's all about communication and getting your voice out there and stuff. So there's different days. I can't remember which was Mars. Was it Thursday or Friday? Friday's Venus. Thursday. Thank you. No, Tuesday. Okay, thank you, Lauren. Mars is Tuesday. Clearly, I don't know. It's funny. It's me and Mars right now. I'll tell you a story very soon. It's not great. But so moon day. So like on Monday, I tend to go a lot slower, and I start slower, like I'll drop her at school, and then I've started actually getting back into her bed and working on my computer in her bed, and I don't know why, it just feels, but that's what moon day or the moon and, you know, all that stuff is about, you know, being at home and comfort and all that stuff, mothering yourself. So that's what I do. So Sundays technically for me is a Sunday, so it's actually really good for me to do that. So working according to the days of the week and what you want to get out of it is also really important. So you must just Google that and look at that and plan your content or what you're doing. And even if you're working in corporate, like if you're doing something else on the side, or how you communicate with people, or your emails, if you have to do emails, or your financials, or whatever you even have to do at work, like going specifically to that. Like on a Wednesday, if you want to really if you have to have boundaries and speak up and all that stuff, like do it when it's Mercury, because that's your throat chakra. That's all about speaking up and being heard and being seen. So if they say, when would you like to do your presentation? Choose a Wednesday because you naturally align better and you'll feel better. Speaking of Mars, so accomplishment wise, I just wanted to do this before I forgot. So I've been going through something really stressful the last week. And I mean, it still is stressful, but not as stressful, but has to do, I'm saying Mars because the place is on my Mars line. So I always knew the energy wasn't going to be great. Meg told me that. But for me, in this situation, like, for example, if I cancel something, like the Cape, I've grown so much this year because last year when I canceled the Cape Town retreat and I lost 5,000 Rand, and just the canceling it, I felt like such a failure just because I had to cancel it and I could only get 5 people out of like the 10, etc. So I already felt like I hadn't accomplished anything by doing that. But then the Cape Joburg retreat got 19 people. I mean, some of you are on there. So that really did help to level it out and make me feel better. It's just about the energy for me wasn't great, you know, whereas Joburg, the energy is much better for me up there. Sunline, Leo, sun. So now if I cancelled, which it is technically basically half cancelled, but by cancelling it now, I don't see the situation. I don't see myself as failing this time, but I actually see myself as being really accomplished because I've made a decision that suits me. I've made a decision that has been truthful for myself and honoring myself and my energy and my vision for my brand and who I am and what I do and the people that are on the ride with me. And yeah, I could look at it if I was still last year me. I would look at it as a bit of a failure and I haven't accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, which was on my vision board to do, you know. But knowing now what I know from last year and just looking at zooming out of the situation, I have really accomplished and achieved something by actually putting my foot down and saying no to something that didn't feel good, which is very hard and very difficult in the moment. And I'm sure most of you know that quote. We've talked about this so many times with boundaries and stuff, when Brene Brown said, you can choose discomfort. You need to choose discomfort over resentment. And that's what I have done. I had to really write an essay, literally an essay, and spill my heart out and just say, sorry, this is not working for me. This is not what I want to do. And it's uncomfortable. I had to be really uncomfortable. But I also didn't want to be resentful if I carried on with the situation, which is what was going to happen in the future. So leaning into these uncomfortable situations and always putting yourself first and being truthful for yourself, I think is the most important thing. So even if you feel like you haven't achieved or you aren't accomplished because you said no to something, you need to look at that as the accomplishment, that you said no to something, a job or a person or an opportunity, because that is the achievement, is putting yourself first and what you want to do and what feels right for you. Like that is a massive accomplishment, being able to see that. And like last year, I couldn't see that. Like me canceling that Cape Town retreat was the best thing. If I'd gone ahead, I would have had to pay in so much money, taking my family, driving for 18 hours, you know, it would have just wasn't right. And seeing that was actually the biggest accomplishment. I just didn't see it as that last year, whereas now I can actually see that. So what this call is, don't want to go on for an hour, but what this call is basically is going to be is us zooming out and seeing our accomplishments and achievements and sharing it with each other. And it could be that you have enjoyed being a stay-at-home mom this year, and that is the best thing that you could have, you know, planned for this year. And that is amazing. Like we have to look at our accomplishments as something to be proud of and not lesser than someone else, because it isn't. We all go through ebbs and flows in our lives. And by going through these ebbs and flows, we have to honor who we are in that moment and where we are in our journey. We get so down on ourselves, and the same with Lauren. Like you get down on yourselves because we think that we have to be somewhere else, or we're comparing ourselves with someone else. Funny thing, I don't know if you watch the videos, but and I don't even know if I put this in the video, but I've chatted to one of you before. I've never looked at another self-love brand or person's website ever. Like I've never actually gone onto someone else in my same genre's website and actually looked at how they set their website up, what wording they use, what colors they use, like what I've never done that because, to be honest, I just don't care. Like I've never cared enough to actually go research them or see what they're doing. I think because it would be very inauthentic to not be me and to not do what feels intuitively correct for me, like the way I set my website up, what I say, all that stuff. It was hard to change my website now and do all the copy and write it from scratch. But luckily I did Nicola's course, so I knew how to do it. It's like just doing it. But you have to focus on yourself and stop comparing yourself. And I think that is the main thing, is that when we compare ourselves, we don't see these things as achievements. It's easy to be a people pleaser in the way that you just kind of let it happen, and it's easier to repeat the pattern with anything in our lives. It's easier just to keep repeating the pattern because it's familiar, and our mind loves what's familiar. It doesn't like the unfamiliar. So it's always going to take you from a place of uncomfortable and of pain to pleasure, and the familiar is the pleasure because your mind is so used to it. So it's easy to be a people pleaser because it's the familiar, and you just like, oh, well, I might as well just do this, and let me just do this, and then she will leave me alone. Let me just do this. I might as well just do it, and then I'll get it done, and then it's done quickly. So things like that. So it's really hard to stand up for yourself, especially when you're in a corporate environment, and to set those boundaries and to tell people, I'm not going to actually stand for this. And you don't want to be the person you were 10 years ago. I just look back at the people I dated and how I felt in those relationships, because I was feeling that within myself. I actually told someone yesterday on an angel reading that when I went overseas, I've never been a big drinker, but, first year of varsity, I stopped because it was sports science and we had to run at UKZN Boomgate to Boomgate, like it was far. So that the first month of first year, we all went out like every night. And then it was just like, can't be doing this because I want to vomit. So then after that, I didn't. And I went overseas and drank, came back, and then I started dating someone. And it was so interesting how I flipped who I was, because I didn't like his friends. It was when Harvey Wallbangers was in Durban North there. I didn't like his friends. And every time I had to go out, I actually had to drink to tolerate them. So I just got hammered every time I went out to tolerate his friends. And then eventually I was like, this is not normal. Like, I cannot be doing this because it is not healthy. So yeah, we all do things and we date people and we do not want to be personally, maybe career-wise you do, but you also have to understand there's a new journey for you. But we don't want to be who we were 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. We are completely different humans, and we are better for it. So I think that looking at growth, let's also look at personal growth as a massive accomplishment. Let's not focus on the work, because exactly how Lauren said, like, how do you measure success? I mean, the fact that we've paid our bills and we've got through these last 2 years, like, for me, that's success. That is an achievement. Like, I didn't personal train. I still haven't even personal trained yet, like, for the 2 years. Secret Sunrise, it didn't work for 11 months. I used this in the workshops to pay my bills. Like, it was a massive achievement that I actually managed to pay my bills on Self-Love Sundays and things like that. And that was because of you guys. So thank you. You say I support you, but thank you for supporting me, because I literally wouldn't have been able to pay my bills. So I think that's what we need to focus on. It's gone half an hour longer than I thought it would, but very powerful message. But I think that we need to stop focusing on work as success and focus on personal growth. So I think let's take that into the next month with us, is the personal growth that we have achieved.
Thanks for listening to Unselfishly Me. Follow us on Instagram at unselfishlyme and check out our website www.unselfishlyme.com.